Going on, guys? Going to try to make this relatively quick. Probably more of a shop update than a grinder update, although I'll briefly mention a few things there. But came out to the shop tonight, really just spent a couple hours out here doing a little bit of cleanup, and by a little bit, I mean a very little bit. Really just focused on the mill here, which is kind of already piling up with stuff again. But I got all the chips up, polished it off. Threw the dial indicator on it. You got a little holder here from Grizzly. Not perfect, but it's actually a pretty nifty little tool there. It makes tramming this in pretty easy, but when I checked it, it was actually already still pretty much as good as it could be. Within a quarter, half a thousandth here or there. This table's so pitted and chewed up in places. It's been hit with tools, end mills, drill bits, who knows what else before I got it. So it's kind of hard to get a good reading in a lot of places, but I got a couple of spots that I go to as a reference every time, and pleasantly enough, it was still trammed in very well. So had a new vise I wanted to mount. I don't know if you guys have really seen my other one in some past videos. It's kind of a piece of crap. I got it on eBay. I think I was the only one to bid on it because everybody else knew better. But, I had to make my own jaws for it. It's kind of an odd configuration, odd size. There really weren't any ready-made jaws with the right bolt spacings. And it's really not even drilled and tapped like a standard vise. This just has some like inch or inch and a half long screws in there to hold the things on. That you got to use a big bolt or piece of all thread, going from front all the way to back there, and kind of the same on the front end. As that's just a clean through hole, no threads, and it's kind of a pain to get everything set up and dialed in there. But, it did the job for me for quite a while. I think I got my money's worth out of it, and it's not like I paid that much for it anyway. But now it can be retired and used as something more useful, like a boat anchor or a paperweight or something. So I found this one on Craigslist, not too far from me, about a half hour south. It looked like it was in pretty good shape, and the price was right. It was less than $100. And you could easily pay that much just for shipping on new or used vices anymore. So I figured I better go ahead and snag it, as I was just tired of dealing with that one. It's got chunks out of the Acme screw. It doesn't open that wide. It is still pretty flat and true. And, I had it dialed in to where I could do good work on it. But, this one was a lot easier to throw on there and dial in and true up. And I've got everything now easily within a half a thousandth, if not a little better, as far as square and, flatness. So really happy with that, and we're ready to do some work, hopefully on some tool arms if they ever get here. Emailed the guy this morning, as it's been about a week since I ordered the parts, and he claimed that a couple of his saws went down on him last week, and they're kind of behind on some things, and that it should be shipping within the next day or two, hopefully. And when he added that hopefully in there, it doesn't really give me a lot of confidence, but you can't have everything all the time, so I'll give them a little bit of grace this time. But it kind of puts me off wanting to order too much from them in the future. When they got claims all over the website for same-day shipping or within 24 hours, how much they know, how badly you need your parts and everything else, and then to kind of have to put up with this. Not that I don't understand that machines go down. I've worked in steel mills in industry, and I know the worst-case scenario kind of jumps up and bites you from time to time, but I don't know. It just kind of boggles the mind that they're like at a complete standstill. And don't have any other options in that. I'm about to tell the guy, just get a sawzall out there, hack them off within an inch or two, and box them up, as I'm going to be truing them up and cutting them down myself anyway. But we'll give them another day, 2 at the very most. And if I ain't seen any results by then, I may just cancel the order and go somewhere else if it's going to be faster. That, or literally tell them, hey, cut it with a Sawzall and give it to me. So that's about all we're waiting for. I do have a few parts coming in from McMaster Car, which I'm really beginning to like. I mean, those guys have literally everything, and for as close as they are to me, it's about 2-day shipping for anything I order. So I've been really impressed with them. The selection, the prices are pretty decent. Some things you can find cheaper elsewhere. A lot of things, they're about as good as they're going to get. But I went ahead and ordered some 12-4 SO cable, which has got a pretty good amount of flex to it. And I thought I had some. It's actually 12-3. I was hoping this had 4 in it, as I just use it for the motor and the VFD. The VFD to the motor is 4, and it's just 3 to the VFD. I thought this had 4 with, I guess I was counting the twine as well. But yeah, this stuff's like super flexible, and I actually had a big roll of this laying around already. So got a few feet coming. Again, for the VFD to motor connection, you need 1 conductor per phase, so that's 3 right there, and then you need the ground. And I really don't want to run without a ground, especially on 220. So that's coming in. I did order a 100-pound spring. The 80 I think is going to work just fine, but it engages so easily that I want to see how the 100 does too. They're not that expensive, only 12-13 bucks a piece. And I had to order some other things anyway, so we got that coming in. I got a grinder pedestal that'll be here tomorrow. And it's made really just for these little benchtop buffers, benchtop grinders. But I've seen other makers mount similar sized machines on them, and they seem to work okay. So we'll try that out. I got some concrete anchors. We'll get it mounted in there as tightly as we can. And hopefully that'll work. Still got to figure out where or how I'm going to mount the VFD. I've got a few ideas for that. Kind of thinking about, and I may decide against this before it's all said and done, kind of thinking about just maybe bolting a little bracket right here and hanging it kind of off the front there with an easy reach and access. Then again, maybe I won't. I don't really want to put it on the grinder. I know a lot of guys do that. They'll mount it to the motor or, to the frame of the grinder. But when you're rotating it, that kind of changes the balance. It's a lot more to pull up and over. And I don't think I want to do it that way. So, yeah, we got some things to think about there. Went ahead and finished my knobs off. Got to straighten a couple of these pieces of thread out. I freehand tapped them all. Most of them came out just fine, but some of them are a little bit crooked. Mounted my wheels on the flat platen. Custom machined some bushings there to space them out where the center lines should theoretically be all in line with each other now. Or at least close enough that I don't have to do anything with it. And other than that, yeah, we're just waiting on the lousy tool arms and pieces for the work rests. So hopefully those get here by the end of the week, and I'll be ready to use my brand new vise on it and see how well that sets up and works for me. So that's pretty much it. I've got a lot of projects I've kind of put on hold to work on this grinder. A lot of knives that are, different degrees of finished. A bunch of slip joints here. I got a fixed blade laying over there somewhere, probably getting beat up and buried. Want to do some work on my sandblaster. I'm probably going to try to make a new Venturi tube or pickup tube for that. I got some parts and pieces, scrap pieces I had laying around for that, so I'll probably make a video on that if it works or if it doesn't. And there's quite a few other things beside that. I really need to start getting cleaned up and organized a little bit better. I definitely go through phases from best to worst, but yeah, we're getting back to the phase of hard to walk around and find stuff now. So definitely after this grinder project's done, we'll get cleaned up and organized, and maybe change the layout a little bit on a few things, and you know, try to get back into the swing of some knives and other projects. And you know, we'll see if there's any interest in maybe a production run of those. That's something I maybe would like to do, but there's still quite a bit of planning and details to work out on that as well. So that's it. I didn't really want to go over 10 minutes, so I'm going to cut it off here at 11. And I appreciate you guys watching and following along. And we'll see you on the next update. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more to show you. Thanks.